the first thing people need to understand is that the guards will not drop any case. You know, they're not going to yank a drink driving case or a drug driving case because you've asked them to, or your lawyer asked them to. That's never going to happen. The only way a case will be withdrawn or dropped is if they realize there's a catastrophic error or mistake in this case where we can't win. And then, to be fair to them, many times over they'll just say, yeah, I see the error. Okay, I'm going to pull this case. I had one of those recently enough where my guy's driving a van and guard was behind him. Guard could smell cannabis from the vehicle in front and pulled him over. Guy admitted to smoking a joint and he was arrested for drug driving. And he was facing a year off the road. And I knew the guard well. I had worked with him years earlier. So on the day of the trial, we had a conversation and I said, look, these are the three things that should have been done in this case. Did you do that? He said, no. What about this? No. This? No. There's your problem. And he said, oh yeah. My bad, he said. I said, you can't win because you haven't done one or all of these three steps. And he accepted, yeah, it was a technical thing. He said, yeah, it wasn't done. So he spoke to the inspector and they agreed, fair enough, we can't win. And they very fairly pulled it at the beginning of the court list. Rather than going through the palaver, getting into this thing, wasting court's time, wasting everyone's time on a case that can't be won. There was a smart thinking by him and the inspector to say, well, look, there's no point flogging a dead horse here. And they sensibly withdrew it. And that's happened. I had something similar in Limerick court last year. A minor error on the paperwork, but enough to cause a catastrophic failure in the prosecution. And I knew the inspector, very good and fair person. So I spoke to him before court and said, look, here's the problem. And he called over the guard who was in charge of the case. And he said, is this the case? And she said, yeah, it's the case. And he goes, all right, fine. And withdrew it. But it's from knowing those little technical steps within the case that yielded the answer. And that's what made the difference between losing your license or driving home. And he drove home. So